Today we're going to talk about elderberry and some of the uses and potential benefits that you may experience when introducing this plant into your world. And most elderberry plants that are native are often found in like forested temperate to subtropical climates. And in certain cultures, it's often used for wine, pies, and medicines. And today we're mostly talking about like the tea, but you can also find it made into tinctures as well. I've got some of the dried berries here. I don't think you'll be able to actually see them in great detail here. It's not usually recommended that you actually eat the berries fresh. It's usually considered to be better to eat them when they're dried and then make them into all sorts of things from that form. You can also have the leaf as well, that people also make teas from. So it being a dried fruit, if I was going to make a tea out of it, I'd boil it for a substantial amount of time, at least 10 minutes, to bring out some of the flavonoids and other medicinal properties of it. Also want to remind you, I'm not a medical practitioner. If you're breastfeeding and or pregnant and or on medications, err on the side of caution. If you've never had this plant before, there is a universal allergy test that you may wish to engage with before introducing a new plant into your world and into your body. Now, this plant is often considered to be quite high in vitamins C, A, B6, B9, which is also known as folate, potassium, iron, magnesium, and also antioxidants. Having this plant in certain doses may also assist with immune system, antioxidant protection, cardiovascular health, digestion, vitality, respiratory health, and also releasing stress and improving sleep. Just gonna have a little sip. No elderberry in here, water at the moment. And some of the cultural stories that are scattered, should I say, around the world, because this plant is quite common in certain places of the world. So the elderberry in certain cultures is often considered to be quite a protector archetype. It's also in some cultures considered like the guardian of souls. She's often related to the goddess Hecate, which is like a Celtic goddess, which is also like a representation of like the cycle of life. The elder tree is sometimes called elder mother as well, because it embodies particular kind of wise woman archetypes as well. It's often used as like a magical transformational plant to bring into someone's life. Often in particular Native American groups, they would use it in ceremonies and cleansing rituals as well. In some cultures, they would actually make amulets from the tree to gift to people to help them keep themselves protected and guarded from certain things in their travels as to wherever it is that they were traveling onto or traveling through. But then also in other places, like Poland, it was considered bad luck to actually cut down the tree or do damage to the tree for such things as well. So yeah, I guess there's always a reason as to why there's nuances in stories as well. When I think about some of the stories I hear for these lands Amaru, otherwise known as Australia, there's stories that are told about plants, about animals, about caring for the land, and they all have a particular purpose. There are multiple layers to it, of course, and depending on where you're at, it'll depend on then what level or layer of the story that you receive. But there's always a particular purpose and reason, so I wouldn't be surprised if a place like Poland, it wasn't encouraged to chop down the tree because it was actually very important for the environment of the other species around that it remains there. Whereas in other places of the world, it may not have been as much of an important on the environment that it has to be there for hundreds and hundreds of years, if that makes sense. So there's usually actually other underlying reasons as to why we say something is bad luck or good luck, or it's not just like a superstition that actually normally forms through a well-intentioned meaning. And obviously how stories, especially verbal stories, can get lost, misinterpreted. They are not passed on through ancestral lines. It can kind of sometimes appear like, well, why would they come up with such a silly story? And so obviously it's on us, and it is our responsibility to try and retain those stories. And even if they may not seem of such relevance here today in the life that we're living right now, for some of us, there is this feeling of importance to help maintain these stories for various reasons. So yes, let me know if you've ever had an elderberry tincture, if you make the tea for yourself or for others, if you've ever had it like in a tonic. Sometimes you can buy it in that way as well. You might find it in sort of naturopathy places, source it from naturopaths and a lot like in the apothecary like spaces. Or maybe you're fortunate enough to grow it yourself, or you have access to it quite locally to where you are residing at the moment as well. And if you've got any cultural stories that you want to share about the elderberry, you're more than welcome to do so. There's a comment section down below, or you can reach out through the various social media links in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube. And we'll see you again soon.